second episode of Conversations with Baba-Maa. I'm your host, Irina. Today you will hear from a great mother-daughter duo, Sarah, who is my cousin, a single mother. She has a full-time job, and she has a side coaching business. You will also hear from Eli, her daughter, who is a teenager and so wise, even only in her college years. And I hope you will enjoy learning the things they share about their journey as mother-daughter and the values they like to talk about. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I will speak to you soon.
So the culture we had, or I had in Bangladesh, is very different from Canadian culture. And why I'm saying that is one of the values that my parents instilled is about the identity. So it's very important for us to know who we are. I always, when I close my eyes, I think about my parents. I think about their smiling faces. So I think that gives me a happy thought, and I can be in a happy zone right away when I'm thinking about them.
Hello and welcome to Conversations with Baba-Maa. You're one of our first guests on the podcasts, and I'm very excited to have you here. Sarah and Eli, we're related, and I will have talked about you in the introduction, but I would love for you to introduce yourself. So Sarah, we'll start with you.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Irina, for inviting us. We are as excited as you are. So thank you again for inviting us. So I am Sarah. I'm Irina's cousin, and I know you will have our introduction later on, but I am Sarah Rajkumar, founder of WOMBB, Women Owning Their Mind, Body, and Business. I'm a transition and leadership coach for corporate women, and I'm also an executive in corporate Canada. I often tell myself I'm a multidimensional person, so I do a lot. But for now, I'll just keep it brief. And as we go, we can discover ourselves, myself, actually. And I have my daughter beside me. So, Elia, if you want to go introduce yourself.
I'm Elia. This is my mom, and this is my aunt. And I am 19 years old. I'm in my second year of university. And so I'm excited to do this podcast.
Thank you both for joining. And there's so much history in between all of us that I could go on for hours about this. But I like to start the interviews with going back all the way to your childhood. So Sarah, we'll start with you, and Elia, your childhood is not so long ago, so we will probably talk a little bit about it. But Sarah, tell me about your childhood and the values your parents instilled in you. I saw you as a child myself growing up. How did they instill those values? How have you translated those values to your own daughter, Elia?
Well, that's a great question. And I love even thinking about my childhood. That's something that I cherish a lot. And so I grew up in Bangladesh. I was born there. So I'm a Bengali Canadian. And now we live in Canada, and my daughter's being born here. However, so the culture we had, or I had in Bangladesh, is very different from Canadian culture. And why I'm saying that is one of the values that my parents instilled is about the identity. So it's very important for us to know who we are. We often can't even find ourselves. So I think that was most important thing that I learned, to know that who I am culturally and also personally as well. So culturally, I'm a Bengali and Canadian, both. So both are very important to me. And also I am a woman, and I have my own voice. So having a voice is also another important thing. And I'm very independent as well. So I think those three together were very prominent values that my parents instilled in me, which helped me shape who I am today. And then one of the things that I wanted to mention is about my parents, that whenever I think about my parents, and I have two siblings to my brothers, I always, when I close my eyes, I think about my parents. I think about their smiling faces, and then about my brothers as well. So I think that gives me a happy thought, and I can be in a happy zone right away when I'm thinking about them. So I think that is what I'm trying to instill, or I've been trying to instill in my daughter's life as well. I'm not sure how fruitful I have been, because life's here is very different. That's what I think. So sometimes, often, we become very stressful parents, and we try to put it on our children as well, which I didn't feel growing up. I'm pretty sure they have gone through a lot of stresses too, but they try to not put it on us. So that's one of the things I consciously try not to put it on my daughter.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk to you, Elia, about how mom's done that, because I was part of her childhood and part of her village, and she was part of my village, and so were her parents, right? Whereas for you, growing up in Canada was very different than the way we grew up in our extended families. You want to talk about your own childhood and how successful mom has been in instilling some of those values?
Yes, I think my mother has been quite successful in instilling these values. When I look back, you actually spoke about family and extended family. I think my generation in the family, all my cousins live across continents. So when I look back on my childhood, my very fond memories are traveling and traveling with family. And I think that's an additional value that's been instilled in me. My mom spoke about identity. I haven't really struggled with identity, which I'm very grateful to say, especially as I'm still in my adolescence. I'm 19. I think it's a common issue to be struggling with your identity and your values and your morals as you're forming as a person. And I'm grateful that that hasn't been much of a struggle for me as I've been led by such a morals-based, values-based family. And I think traveling for me is one of the best things I look back on because that's when I got to spend time with my family and I got to experience those things. And that's something I look forward to in my future because when I think of family, I think of traveling. And I think my mom said she doesn't know if she's been fruitful. I think she's been quite fruitful in the sense where I know my family values and I'm proud to know that. And I'm happy and very content with those.
That's a great answer. I'm sure your mom's very happy with that answer. Let's touch a little bit on a couple of things, Sarapa, you said. So identity, happiness, and stress, right? So stress is an ongoing thing as parents in the Western world, I will say. I am a parent myself, which is why this podcast is very near and dear to my heart. But it's one thing to have stress and another thing to express stress. And it's really difficult not to do that with our children because we don't have the same kind of village that your parents and my parents had back home. So, you're a single mother. That can't be easy, right? So you don't have the same family backing or support that your mother would have had back in Bangladesh, which is a big thing. And we live in joint families there. There's a lot more people around to raise children. You certainly make it look easy with Elia. Like I've seen you through the various stages. I know Elia from when she was born, and I saw her in the various stages before I left Canada. So, with Eli now in college and doing so well as a person and very happy to hear about the question of identity, that it hasn't been a problem for her in adolescence. What are some challenges you would highlight as a parent? And you said you were multidimensional. Like, what are some of those dimensions that you brought into parenting as a single mother?
Thanks again again a great question. So when I'm thinking back of the challenges, at one point, actually, I thought life is just full of challenges. There was no other ways, right? No, there are no other solutions. So as I mentioned, that identity plays a very big role as you live your life, right? When I became a parent, when I became a mom, that was one of the happiest moments in my life. At that point, I knew that, why a mother wants to have multiple or more children, because it's just, the experience, the sheer joy that you have is amazing. We can't even express in words. And we talk about challenges of parenting. I think I always anchor myself thinking about that moment, that how grateful I am of having this beautiful daughter that I have, a beautiful child that I have. And when that gratefulness take precedence over all the challenges that I go through or I have been through. And every parents are different, right? Every child are different too. So we cannot compare with the different households, like how one parent's going to be with the other. They're very unique. So my parenting styles are definitely not like my parents. We are different in a different day and age. We also have to look back, okay, that we grew up in a different era, and now our children in different times too. We are bringing some of the values to our parenting, but not to that extent that we kind of get so rigid that we can't live without those. We cannot bend those conditions. I think that's where I found myself that I need to evolve at the same time of the time that we're growing. This is a journey together with my daughter and myself, because I was a child when I was parents' house. I was a child, so I didn't remember quite how their parenting were, but I remember how they were. I observed a few things which I still remember, and I'm trying to replicate that maybe in my parenting, but I cannot be stuck in that time, right? So challenges initially I thought that yes, socially, culturally, we know family meaning, both parents needs to be together to have a happy family. That's a biggest, I think, hurdles we all go through. But going through my life, I've learned that is nothing to do with being a happy parent or providing a child or children a happy home. So there could be so many avenues as well that we can adapt, and we can learn as we go. But most importantly, when you're talking about the stress, we were talking about the stress. Like, I have gone through a lot of, definitely, the stressful life, but I learned to take a pause and be in the moment today, right now. And I always look back when it comes to my daughter. How am I going to make her the most important, my decision for her, and make her happy? So I think when I think about that, everything else comes to its own places. It falls into the places that needs to take actions for. So that's how I have minimized my stresses, and it just becomes your second nature. So that's how I think I've managed my stress.
Yeah. So Elia, not to put you on the spot, but you are on the spot. So we will we will just continue, because I think this is an important conversation for parents and children to have together, right? Like, your mom's, to me, she's been a role model, right? She's so independent, and like I said, she's made single parenting look easy. I can't even parent with a co-parent, right? Like, it's tough. It's a tough job. So from your seat, and the childhood and teenagehood that you've had, what would you say have been some challenges, or what are some things you'd like to comment on?
Growing up with a single mother, especially someone like my mom who made it look easy, has been very inspiring. A quality that I really appreciate in myself, and I think my friends notice in me, is my independence because of that. Something I'm very grateful to have. I've been through many struggles and challenges as well, related to family, completely on my own, things with my mother, without my mother. And at the end of the day, something I've gained from my mother is independence because of that. And I'm very grateful to be able to rely on myself. I think watching my mom go through things and face her adversities taught me on how to go about mine. Though we're very different people, like, my mom is still my role model. I still look up to her with everything. And it's interesting to see, because we don't have the village here, right? Because there isn't a village backing us and it's just me and her. I get to experience very firsthand what she goes through, what she's been through. Though obviously she sheltered me from a lot of it during my childhood, I'm sure there was things that I experienced as well on behalf of her, and I saw her go through. And not saying I'm grateful necessarily for it, but I was able to learn from that. Like, I think that gave me a skill set that not a lot of people are necessarily exposed to. And my mom slightly touched on how in her childhood, the idea of a nuclear family was the norm. Whereas me, none of my friends come from a nuclear family. Most people my age, they don't have two happily married parents. I never felt like I missed out on that. And if anything, I felt very motivated by the fact that at the end of the day, if I want something, I can do it. I can get it. I never shy away from an opportunity due to myself or my surroundings or my skill set, because I watched my mother go through everything with nothing, or build things ground up and build things with a child. She wasn't just a single person, she was a single parent. And I think that also shaped my ideals on motherhood and parenthood and independence. And now that I'm finally entering adulthood, I feel this sense of calmness, because at the end of the day, that independence is instilled in me. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about, relying on a partner, relying on friends. I'm totally capable to detach myself from that and enjoy that in a healthy amount and rely on myself, which is great.
Well, thank you for a very eloquent answer for a 19-year-old. I appreciate that very much. And I am by no means discounting the power of 19-year-old women today. And frankly, when I was 19, I was leaving Bangladesh to move to Canada, right? So it was a big step for me, but I was nowhere near as ready as you might be to do something. And I consider myself fairly independent from a very young age. So I do want to talk a little bit more about, about supporting your family, Sarah, right? So working moms have a tough time juggling their responsibilities at home and at work. And given what we just talked about, you also not only have a full-time job, you were a single parent, and you run a side business now, right? That's how you introduce yourself, is more about your business that you run as a transitional leadership coach. So talk to us a little bit more about that. What is a transitional leadership coach? What do you find are, differences between your corporate life versus your coaching and business life, and how it impacts your parenting?
So when you talk about the juggle every day and work, I've always been in the workforce from like, I don't know, since I was 18 or 17 years old. Even when I was in Bangladesh, that's not a culture that we grew up. But my mom was a very independent woman as well, very strong woman. And one thing she always said, that just make sure you keep impacting this world somehow, whether it's through volunteering or being in a corporate, right? So that kind of always subconsciously back of my mind. So I always push myself to be at the front and do something. So I never felt that, oh, I'm doing a lot, right? I thought working in corporate or having my business is something that it's for me, it comes naturally because I always had business on the side. Right now, what I'm doing as a coach that's my passion. So I actually spend so much time in personal development as well for, like, I would say last 12 years. And that gave me that wisdom and strength as well to help others and understand the value of personal development and helping others to go through any transition in their lives as well. Because I have gone through so many transitions in my personal life too. And now I tell myself I'm an expert, like experienced in my life as a transition coach. Plus, I'm certified as well. So it's a great combination. And then being in corporate, I've seen the struggles that women go through, right? They go through so much of personal and professional challenges. So when I felt that there is a huge opportunity right there to help others, I jumped in and I said, this is where I can help them. And that's how I formed WOMB, Women Owning Their Mind, Body, and Business. The name came to my mind is my audience are women, but it is very important to understand your mindset, understand how that mindset is affecting your body, because women go through different phase and in life transitions, yes, bodily as well, right? And also because I've been in the business I started my first business actually when I was 16 years old. So I've been in the business for a long time. And so I can support women with that as well. These are all transitions, like everybody goes through transitions life. So I think I have mastered kind of how I made it easy. It sounds like I made my transitions easy for myself, and now my clients are getting more results. So that's how I become the transition coach. And also I help women to be self-leaders first, so they understand who they are and they have more confidence and courage to go forward in their lives and make decisions and make their dream come true, because I have made my dream come true many times. So that's what inspires me. So work is something that I really look forward to go through, because I impact lives there too. I have a team that for coaching clients.
Right.
I spend time in my business. It actually gives me more, because it's my passion. So it gives me more fuel for the day, and it energizes me, right? So I never think that could be that hinders my day or it hinders my life. It is actually very motivating for me. And being a parent, sometimes, yes, I would say I can't cook every day, or so those are the times I'm like, okay, let's get something like to buy some food. So my daughter, she's more on I have to say from depending on a takeout. So those are the sacrifices we do, which is also not that great, but we try to sometimes incorporate our own ideas about being more healthy. And then also we support the community too, right? So we volunteer, and these are all interrelated, even though it sounds like there is a lot, but these are all part of my passion, that what I do, I want to do. And it's not, it just happens because you're so connected. You will get a call from someone and then you just appear, you just show up and you just want to support, right? I think that's what helps me be fulfilled in my life too, right? That keeps me going.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And we've talked about my career as well, and you've helped me in some of those conversations. Elia, you've had quite a few jobs yourself, even at the age of 19, and in college. I don't know, you're probably doing some kind of work. You want to talk about how mom's work life and her businesses have impacted you and how you think about work today. And you have your entire life left for work, so I do what you can.
Yes, I like to remind myself that as well. I do have my whole life left to work, but something that mom always instilled in me, apart from just entrepreneurial spirit in general, which she clearly has, is if you have a passion and if you're engaged in that, if you're engaging in your values, such as you can tell with our family, community is a huge thing. Like that's not just us, our extended family. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I think it's a cultural thing as well. Community motivates you. So when you're partaking in these things, they don't feel like work. They don't feel like jobs. And sometimes you have to work a job you don't enjoy as well to be able to enjoy your passion too. And I think I've noticed that in mom. I myself have been working. I've been in the workforce probably since I was 13 or 14. I love it. I love the experience and the diversity of experience that it provides me. I love being able to challenge myself in those ways. I feel intellectually challenged when I throw myself in workspaces which I've never been in. I love having a random resume. I think it's very fun, and I think I'm grateful for my age because I'm 19. I don't necessarily have to work jobs that directly correlate to my main career in the future. I work jobs that I think are fruitful in ways that they could benefit me in just a variety of ways. And that definitely comes from my mother, 100%. Seeing her do that and seeing her successfully do that, like community is a huge thing for me as well. We grew up volunteering and it didn't feel like for example in high school, you have to get community hours. And I know for a lot of people it was a chore and you could easily find things that you enjoy and they just become an extension of your life and they become an extension of your hobbies. Slightly tracking back to my childhood, a lot of my extracurriculars involves community activities as well. And because of that, to this day, anything I do, I think I am able to make community out of it. I'm able to correlate it to other things in my life, like my mom mentioned she does. And that's a great skill to have. So that way you don't feel burnt out. And because of the challenges we've faced, because of me myself, I've had like chronic illness, we've faced mental illness, we've faced so many things that are separate from work stress, just like internal, like bodily things, like my mom touched on, like especially being a woman, being able to be dependent on your, not dependent, but being able to know and have confidence that your work life and your extracurricular life, I'll say, gaining benefits from that, it is so helpful. Like it really prepares you for the world. And I think having a breadth of skills is just the best thing, like diversity in any skill. And that's another reason I love travel because the experience that you gain from throwing yourselves in situations that challenge you, in situations that you won't expect, those are the most fruitful experiences. And I think I'm still like that. I still work jobs because I'm like, I wonder what'll happen if I work this job. I wonder what this will, what I can do here, what it can do for me. And I continue to do that, which is great.
Yeah. So I like to think about a few quick fire questions. And actually, before we go into those, I was thinking of both of your conversations. I'm listening to a book called The Well-Lived Life by Dr. Gladys McGarry. And she talks about juice. She says the juice of life, like, is expressed in different ways, in different cultures. But what she talks about is what gives you juice and what drains the juice of your life, right? Like both of you talked about work giving you juice or giving you fulfillment and the diversity of work. And Eli, I wanted to ask, like, what do you want to go into as a career at this point?
Well, this is the loaded question for a 19-year-old. I think I'm going to circle back to identity. Thankfully, I know what I'm interested in, I know what I'm not interested in, but because there's such a whole big wide world of opportunity, I don't know exactly where I'll end up or what I'm directly heading towards. I know what I'm interested in. For example, I am a journalism major right now, and I'm thinking of doing a double major in sociology or business. I like to try new things. I like to do new things. And a career sector which I found very interesting and I thought it could intertwine my connections for reading, writing, communicating with people, sharing stories, and helping while still learning from a business aspect, because those are my main interests I've noticed, is being able to work for a not-for-profit organization or being able to be the person to decide, okay, this is what we can do with our charity initiative, or here's how we can allocate funds so we can, like, this is what our non-for-profit company does. Like that sector seems very interesting to me, B Corp. That's very intriguing. But also, I know I want to travel in the future. I know I want to have, again, a diversity of experiences. And I know that skills aren't necessarily hard to gain. Like, if I really want to apply myself to something, I will be able to, I'm sure, and go through the challenges to be able to gain that knowledge and experience. So my options are pretty open right now. And I know I love education. I love learning, as I'm sure you can tell. Like, I definitely want to continue my education in terms of going to grad school, getting a master's, and possibly PhD, just educating myself and then seeing what goes from there. But as of right now, yeah, the non-for-profit seems interesting. And being a journalism major, it really does open your doors because everything is communication based. Everything is, how can you apply your skills? So
And
that's
probably also for travel, like there's travel journalism as well,
Yeah, which
right?
I love. So great. Yeah.
I have no advice to offer you in this case because I have no idea. I enjoy travel as well, but about travel journalism, I don't know. Okay, so it's now time for our quick fire questions. And they're quick fire in the sense that the answers should be brief, but don't worry too much about it. So what is your favorite parenting tip, Sarapa?
So I would say for me right now, we had quite a few mother-daughter trips, but recently we've done Iceland trip, and that
Oh,
was
sorry, parenting tip. I said trip, but no, yeah, a tip about parenting.
right. So I know I was gonna get to the
Okay.
tip. So I know it says a brief one, but because on that Iceland trip, I realized that I could hand it the responsibilities to Elia. And my tip was that for the tip is it's okay to let go our control as a parent, right? And have trust in our children. So it's very important for our children also to see that they are trusted. And we don't have to always measure them, oh, whether it's good or not, the good decision or bad decision they've made. The decision they've made, we just go from there, right? So the tip is let go our control as a parent, which is sometimes very hard, and rely
Yes.
on them, right? And just go with the flow and just, enjoy that the responsibility they've taken or the accountability they're taking as children or as a child. So I think that's what I would share because that's what I've enjoyed the most in our recent trip. And Elia did the whole itinerary. She really led the trip, and I was kind of just a passenger. So yeah.
Eli, how does it feel to be that well trusted by your mom?
Great. Um, I think also it was a journey getting here. The way my mom articulated it almost seems like, yes, it's easy to get here. No, like we've been through trials and tribulations just as a mother-daughter relationship. I think also when you're a teenage daughter and your mother is your mother, you go through your own things as well. And being able to learn and heal from that, and I think my mom being able to trust me has been so freeing because knowing that she trusts me, you make your own decisions a little better as well. Like I've made my own set of good and bad decisions, and knowing that I will be supported and I can go from there and I can learn it myself. But if I need to, I have support. That's been really good. And yeah, the Iceland trip was such a great example because yeah, I planned everything. We like did all the excursions and it was so great because it was freeing for myself as well because I've never done solo travel. And I was like, it helped me realize and instill confidence within myself as well.
Yeah, and I've heard some stories from that trip about how you scared the crap out of your mom with some of those
Yes.
excursions. That's a story for another day, another podcast. So you both talked about identity, talked about travel as values, happiness and gratitude. What are the values? Because I find values change a little bit over time, right? As you transition, as you go into different phases of your life. Currently, what are some values that are defining each of your lives? So Sarapa, we'll start with you. And
I
they
think
can be the same.
I think at this stage of my life, for me, I feel like I want to give back, right? So the values that I carry, I will still keep those, the identity, have your own voice, know what you want in life for yourself is very important. And another thing as a parent, I always try to consciously make it like be aware that I never wanted to impose my dreams on my children or my child, right? So that kind of let me feel that I don't have a pressure, I don't have any regrets, right? So because I don't have any regrets and I don't want to push that on my child, I always wanted to take it on my own. That's something that I want to do. It's not that something I missed out doing and I'm going to ask my child to do it or ask from her. So that's the value I always kept consciously I keep in mind as I parent my child, my daughter. Yeah, I think that's what I would share. That's most important for me. Different when it's a different values and it's time to give back. That for me, like I'm trying to give back to my clients or different women in the world, in the community, even in the family. I try to be available because I know this is only one life we live. We're not going to come back. Even if we do, it's not going to be Sarah. So that's a different conversation, but I'm just saying I want to make the best for myself in this world. So I've taken a lot. It's time for me to give back. So I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful. And I always, and first thing in the morning when I get up, when I wake up, I thank God. And I also thank for having another day. This is an opportunity for me. So that's why I think the challenges that comes throughout the day doesn't feel like a challenge. It feels like, something exciting that we're dealing, right?
Yeah,
So
and they say, it's not happy people who are grateful, but grateful people who are happy, right? Like if you practice
absolutely.
gratitude, there's more
Yeah.
happiness in your life. Elia, this is a loaded question again for a 19-year-old, but what are some things that you think about that currently define your life?
Right now, I think I'm at the stage in my life where I'm testing my independence. As you and both my mom said, you guys left your home country to move across the world and start a life for yourselves at my age. And I think knowing that myself, I live at home, by the way. I know a lot of people my age don't. Like some of them live at home and some of them live on campus, and so our struggles may be different. But I'm grateful to live at home, and I'm grateful that I am still able to lead my own life while living at home. And knowing what my family has been through and what my lineage has been through in terms of what they did at my age, I think I'm one of the first people in my lineage to be able to have so much opportunity and so much choice in what I want to do with my life right now and in the future. I always remind myself of that, and I think it's important for me to remember that. So testing my independence and putting it on trial and, really pushing my limits in terms of what am I capable of and being able to rely on myself and what do I want to do next because I'm at the entering adulthood phase, I think I can say. So yeah, mainly I think independence, but also being able to form community while not 100% relying on it, I think is how I want to phrase this.
Sarah, what is one thing you want Eli to remember about you once you're gone? We all have to leave this world, and Eli will obviously have her own memories, but if it were up to you, what is one thing you'd want her to remember?
I want her to remember that she's been unconditionally loved. I think it's very important for us to feel that we are loved, right? And so as a mother, I think I try my best every day. So that's what I want her to remember. Even though I'm not here, she knows that wherever I am, my love will be always there for her to support her in even in next generations too.
Beautiful. What are some parting thoughts for our audience and for me from both of you?
Eli, you want to start?
I don't think I have many parting thoughts. Your questions have been very well-rounded, and I think they covered most of what we have to say. Yeah.
So for me, again, it's been a actually great conversation. I never even thought of all those questions that you asked before. So it was very insightful as well for me. For our audience, I would say that enjoy parenting, the parenthood. It is stressful. Life is stressful, we think, but there are ways that you can actually distress yourself. So find those avenues or those zones or the happy moments that you can go back to. And it is a gift that our child are, I truly believe they're the gift for us. So enjoy that, cherish that, be grateful. And also do not, I think it's also important to know that don't impose our dreams onto them. Like I see a lot of parents, because we have been grown up in certain way, we wanted to raise our children that way. They're in a different era as well. So be with, be current with them. It's a journey together, not just from one side. So enjoy this parenthood.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. And I'm sure this will be one of our favorite episodes ever. I appreciate your time, and we will close out here. Thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.